Shalom, sweetest friends. A question came to me in Shir this week. I had a guy, and he asked, what is so unique about the bracha of Hamotzie lechem min haaretz? And my answer is going to be something very similar to a previous video that I made some months ago. But he went on to explain that the other brachot, like borei priya etz and borei priya adama, those are brachot that seem to indicate exactly the source from which they come. The fruit comes from the tree. We make a brach on it. The vegetable comes from the ground. We make a brach on it, stating such. But when it comes to bread, we don't attribute where it comes from properly. It came from the oven, it came from the man, it came from kneading dough. It's not the same as a grain, as a piece of produce, and we need to acknowledge. So why do we say the words Hamotzie lechem min haaretz, that it comes from the ground, that it's almost moitzi, it's extracted, it's found, so to speak, from the ground? So the answer that I gave was that there's for sure something very special when it comes to the bracha of Hamotzie lechem min haaretz. Bread is considered the staple of humanity. It is what has sustained us for thousands of years. And it is what is koveya aseuda, something that establishes that we're having a meal. When we make a bracha on bread, it covers the blessings of all the other foods, and we don't make a bracha on the other foods that are present at the table at that time. And so there's something very significant about bread, and hopefully this will shed light onto that. So I had previously addressed a machloket that we had in Masechet Brachot regarding Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel over the Havdalah ceremony, one of the brachot that we say at Havdalah. So at Havdalah we say, Borei me'orei ha'esh. We're blessing the multitude of lights that cause fire. We are expressing that God has created a multitude of lights by the plural use of or. We say me'orei. And that we hold to today is Beis Hillel's opinion. But Beis Shammai brings forth that we should say borei me'or ha'esh. And the reason he says me'or is because it goes back to the primordial light. We're trying to make a reflection. After all, this was about Shabbat, which remarks on a conclusion of the 6 days of creation. And here we have fire that was brought forth within that period of time. And so the first light that was even giving power to man creating such a fire is to be acknowledged, and we're going back to that primordial light, to the first cause, the first light that ever came. And the reason that Beis Shammai has a really valid point is because that specificity in identifying something great that God did for us shows our love for Him and solidifies the relationship even further. So for example, if you're a father and you get your daughter a lot of different things, you provide food for her, clothes for her, all kinds of, maybe a car to drive, all kinds of things. And she is very thankful, and she says, "Thank you, Daddy, for everything." It's a very nice thing, it's beautiful, but it's not exactly specific and endearing, as opposed to if she comes to you upon each and every incident, or just even not upon each and every incident, but about one thing, and she says, "You remember that dress you got me? I wore it to school yesterday and I got 3 compliments." When she's specific, you end up feeling a great source of love. You know that she's not really complimenting the thing. The thing isn't what's so important, that she's showing a recognition to having you in her life, you being her provider, you being her father, you being in her life. So specific compliments are so important because they solidify the relationships that we have with the people that we love. And they demonstrate that we love them and that it's not about the thing, rather it's about the person. Okay, so we've explained Beis Shammai very well. So what about Beis Hillel? So Beis Hillel's speaking about all the multitudes of lights. So it sounds like in light of the explanation I gave for Beis Shammai, that Beis Hillel is not saying something so great. It's not saying so nice, but we paskin that way. So what could he be saying? So it's true, one could take Beis Hillel's words to mean that he's not expressing the most sincere form of love to God. But this would be wrong. This isn't so. Because what Beis Hillel is doing is he's saying that yes, God created first light, first cause, but I'm not only thanking him for what he did without my assistance, I'm also thanking him for the things that he did with my assistance. And I'm attributing that even though something may have a great deal of man-made labor behind it, it's still attributable to the one true God. It's still attributable to the one who sustains us each and every moment and gives us everything that we need in order to be the productive members of society that we are. So when we thank him for all the lights, we're thanking him not for all the gifts he's given necessarily, but for even those man-made things, all the technological innovations, all the street lights, all the amazing modes of technology that we have, every computer system that we've fashioned today, every single thing that comes from the resource of fire that we have, all the different types of fire, whether they be at 500 degrees, 2,000 degrees, that allow us to make all kinds of metallic goods that we use in our homes today. Every single thing that came from even the workmanship of man, we attribute to Hashem. And we do that by Havdalah, specifically. That as we're going from a place of Kodesh L'chol, we're going from a place of almost revealed, beautiful light, where every Jew can be in touch with his personal connection with God, and he goes into the darkness of the weekday. Even in such a case, we are affirming that we are close to you. It looks like we're about to be distant, we're about to leave the Shabbos, but we are so close to you, because even in the midst of our everyday labor, in our man-made labor, we're never ever going to stop thinking of you. And we're even going to attribute your power and your kindness in everything that we make day in and day out in the weekday. So if we go back to our Hamotzie model, Hamotzie lechem min haaretz is said upon all things to establish a meal. It solidifies what we are speaking about. That the very sustenance that comes from so much toil of man is going to be the foundation of something that we attribute to God and say the highest form of grace. We say Birkat HaMazon afterwards on it. And this is what's going to establish the meal. This is what's going to be attributed, even with all the toil of man, that we say Hamotzie lechem min haaretz. We are recognizing its source. There's been so much processing, so much done to this one item, to this one food, and so much of man was put into it. But that's exactly why it's so great that after so much toil, we go back to our master, to our original source, to our Father in heaven, and we say, Hamotzie lechem min haaretz, you're the one who created earth, who owns the earth, who allows us to reap all the produce from the earth. And we, as men and women, fashion amazing things out of what you've provided. We are partners in your creation, and it's exactly in the fact that we are partners, we are so intricate partners in this activity to make bread, that it earns the highest form of respect when it comes to establishing a meal and saying grace after meals. So I hope that gives us a new appreciation of how Jews view the world, and this should lend us a lot of chizuk, a lot of strength for everything that we do in the world, everything that we come across, that we really can see the godliness in everything, and we have that hakaras hatov, we have that appreciation to all things. about all things. That God is giving us this amazing opportunity to do a lot of good in this world, and He's constantly sustaining us in order to do so. So let's remain thankful, appreciative, and always show gratitude. And say your blessings. Make them count. Thank you.